Hi everybody, this is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, I've updated my site for the final time today on May the 15th in the year of our Lord 2024. I've got some great information for you. A couple of new channels I picked up, added to my video channels page. Let's go ahead and go on over here. I have Trumpet Daily that I added today. Seem to have pretty good information on a regular basis, so I went ahead and added that. And also Vivek Ramaswamy. I noticed he had a channel and he also posts fairly regularly. 21 hours ago, 1 day ago, a couple of them 6 days ago, 7, 8, 12, 13 days ago. So he posts fairly regularly. And I like to listen to him. I like the way he talks. As I would say. I know there's a lot of people that think or have said, I've seen posts, that Vivek is Obama in disguise, or, you know, he acts like Obama or would be another Obama. I'm not sure about that, because when you listen to him talk, he actually talks about things that need to be done. Not in this vague bullshit like we're going to fundamentally change America. Well, he sure as hell did. Yeah, he did that, but not for the better. When you hear Vivek talk, he talks about changing the United States in ways that will make it better. All right, let me click over here. Murtech on Rumble. This is the video you're looking at right now. Vivek Ramaswamy. Sham Trump trial, Trumpet Daily, John B. Wells, Courage Under Fire, and wrapping up with Benny Johnson. So let's click on this and over here, go ahead and pause that, close this out. All the information is here in the description box, so if you want to come down here and follow along with me, right here's the video, here's the thumbs up button, here's the follow button. Just click this show more button and it'll expand it all out with all the information in it. But before we get into that, let me give a shout out to Vern Jones, Dr. J, I guess, just started following me. Dar Voter gave me a comment. Tigers79Q also gave me a comment. K Rocky commented. Debbie BS also commented. Kate Hobbs commented on my video. I wonder if she's in relation to Katie Hobbs. I certainly hope not. But at any rate, Mama Bear CK also commented on my Gateway Pundit Bill Gates video. So let me give that a thumbs up. Boom. See how easy that is? Okay, well, let's get started here with Vivek. Vivek speaks outside Sham Trump trial. Okay, here we go. Now I've kind of upped this a little bit here.
Our country will never be a socialist country, and I was right. Unfortunately, they went directly to communism, okay? They skipped socialism along the way. So I want to thank you all. It's a great honor to have you in this wonderful place. It's been a magical place for many years, and thank you very much. Have a good evening. Support Trump. Thank you.
Have a good one. Come up. Yeah, I'll come on up with you. We're going to do whatever's required.
And the future president. So I will be
Whatever's required for this
I met 5 prime ministers.
Great event. Love the energy. People are fighting for the right cause. They love this country. It gives me the energy to keep going. Let's go make it happen. Can we manage to be a nation with borders or not? If not, we're not a nation. And I think everyone here believes that we are, and that's what they stood for. Headed back to the airport, but seeing if we get a stop in Torero's first. Arguably my favorite Mexican restaurant east of the Mississippi. No good trip to Palm Beach without a stop at Torero's. Let's do it. How are you, man? Oh, you do? He's a good guy. Good guy. Tell him I said hello. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. Come here every time I come to Palm Beach. Food is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Torero's strikes again. It's very good. Yeah. Hey, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy your meal. It's a great restaurant. Yeah. All right. Refueled the tank after dinner. Refueled the plane. Headed home. Great day. Great event. leaving energized. Let's see if we can get home by midnight, maybe a little bit after, and get some rest tonight. Back home in Ohio, a little bit after midnight. Not too bad though. Let's get a night of sleep and pick up where we left off tomorrow. Let's do it. We got our work cut out for us this year. One of the battleground states is going to be Pennsylvania. I expect to be spending more time there. I'm going there for an event to speak to grassroots audience today and also meet some of the people who have endured in those races. Last time I made a serious trip to Pennsylvania that I remember well was Kensington, when I went to the inner city of Philadelphia. Today we're headed to Harrisburg. I don't think I've been to Harrisburg in a pretty long time, certainly not since I ran for president. So I'm excited to not only check out the city, but to talk to grassroots audiences there. Tell people, what are you going to do for the country? It's not just going to be somebody else that solves the problem. We each need to step up and do ours. I'm going to try to do mine today. Let's get out there and see if we can't get back home in time for Karthik's bedtime. Got to the airport. Goal is have the meeting, give the speech, get back home before Karthik gets to bed. Let's see if we can make it happen. I've always loved this state. We used to drive through here a lot growing up, especially on our way to the Northeast. And there's a Hindu temple in Pittsburgh that we used to come to as a family, driving all the way from Cincinnati. It's one of the states that reminds me a lot of Ohio. It's a cross-section of the rest of the country, for better and for worse. I mean, you think about the fentanyl epidemic, the opioid epidemic, hollowed-out industrial towns that maybe are past their heyday, but maybe not permanently so either. There's that ray of hope as well. A lot of the cities have seen their demise. It's sad what's going on in Philadelphia, but there's still that vestige of lost pride and a remembrance of what once was. A little more elevation, you get the hills a little bit in Pennsylvania, and so I appreciate that. And a little bit of a bigger state than my home state of Ohio, but a lot of familiarity is what I feel when I come here. And so, it doesn't even feel like we've traveled that far. Feels like it's not that different than going a 50-mile radius of where I live in Columbus, except we happen to have taken a short flight to get here. So anyway, gonna get changed and let's get rolling to the event. Congressman Perry here in Harrisburg. We're about to head into an event, but we had a good, honest, and frank conversation about why we're doing what we're doing, right? There's no point in going through the motions if you're just doing it to appease somebody. You're doing it to advance your own convictions. And many people, when they go into Washington, D.C., I've seen it, as somebody who's coming from the outside but spent a lot of time, a lot of people, even who go in with the right intentions, get shaved down, worn down to be a hollowed out husk of themselves. And this is a guy who's served for a long time, but still keeps that original burning passion that brought you into it. It's alive now. And so I think that's what's actually going to make you more successful in winning this year and winning in the future. But winning already is speaking your convictions without fear. And so
it's about winning for the country. Man. It's about saving the republic. That's what winning is. It's not about me. I'm passing through, but I'm on that mission just like you are at this point in time in this place. That's my focus.
And not taking up space in Washington, D.C. You're actually there to stand for your convictions. And I appreciate it, man. We're hopefully going to be
Thanks for coming to
seeing our best days ahead. Oh, no, we're going to be back, too. I promise you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Pleasure, I know.
Proud of your son, man. He's a star.
Doing great.
Yeah, I want to meet him when we go to Texas sometime.
Exciting. Yeah, he's looking forward to it.
I would love that.
We'll have somebody text me about it. And
I'll just have our team get in touch with him directly. I know you don't need to. But how's life for you?
Going well.
You're continuing to make amazing films.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Good.
Yeah, you're doing the daily show as well?
Yeah, do the daily podcast.
On Rumble?
On Rumble, I also do it on audio. So
okay.
I do it in, but that is, so.
I remember when we had our conversation, one of the things that I thought was cool was you gave the throwback to what were some of the lessons from being in the Reagan administration that, I think I remember there's some wise words in there. We had a lot of good feedback on that one.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Good seeing you. Tell them I said hello. Give them my best. And
I'll do it.
Keep up the good work yourself.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Thank you. Looking forward to your remarks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And you're on right now. Yeah. Love the energy in that room. A lot of patriots who care about this country deeply. Met some of them one-on-one beforehand, which helped me give a better talk that understood where the people in that room's hearts were. And so one of the things, sometimes you walk in a room raw, you got to feel out the audience. I actually spent about a good hour talking to a lot of the people who were there one-on-one, and that helped me address the concerns on their minds. And I hope we hit it in a way that's productive and gets these people spurred to action, which was my reason for being here. So I'm doing my part. I asked them to do theirs, and I think they're going to. And I think we're going to save this country, and I think this state's going to be an important part of doing it. Pleased with how it went. It's interesting. I'm about to get on our plane here, and I see behind me what I'm told Again, I only know what the people at the airfield tell us. I'm like, what the heck is that giant plane here? And it's apparently a Ukrainian state aircraft that's taking National Guard material, a lot of trucks, a lot of equipment being loaded up. I've been to the southern border. I can imagine a lot of materials, National Guard materials included, being sent to our southern border. But it looks like they're sending it to Ukraine. Hope somebody knows what they're doing.
All right, I thought that was interesting to share with you. A couple of days of Vivek's schedule. He's, of course, backing Donald Trump. And I don't know, this may upset a few people, but I wouldn't mind seeing him vice president, or at least some cabinet position, some important cabinet position. Right here, Dinesh D'Souza. This is his channel, FISA Trap podcast. I share his information every day, and I'm going to keep my eye on Vivek's channel and share as much information that I think you'll like. Okay, getting back here, let's go down to Trumpet Daily, another new channel that I just happened to notice yesterday. I kind of wandered upon it. Alvin Bragg's clown show is a campaign gift for Donald Trump. Well, let's get his take on that.
This is a Biden prosecution. It's election interference at a level that nobody in this country has ever seen before. This is for third world countries, not for the USA, where we're leading in every state, the 5 key states. We're leading very substantially, I might add. So it's really a very sad day for the country. It's sad for New York. I mean, New York, that a judge is highly conflicted at a level that nobody's seen before can possibly, just think of it, and you should go out and check it out. But we have a corrupt judge, and we have a judge who's highly conflicted, and he's keeping me from campaigning. He's an appointed New York judge. He's appointed. He's a corrupt judge, and he's a conflicted judge, and he wouldn't let us go out and campaign and get rid of this scam. Every single legal analyst, even CNN, even MSDNC, they're saying there's no case here.
What we haven't seen so far is any direct evidence that Donald Trump himself directed at.
The government has yet to establish what are called the elements of any crime in this case. So they're at the end of their witness list. And it's now becoming apparent what the strategy is. And that is Bragg is relying on a motivated judge and a motivated jury to take him where he needs to go for conviction.
They haven't come close to proving that fraud has taken place, and they don't just have to prove that fraud has taken place, they have to prove that it was fraud that included a specific intent to commit another crime, which we believe is a federal campaign finance crime. It's astonishing that we can't say that with complete certainty. That's supposed to be spelled out in the indictment. But there's not a scintilla of evidence that Trump was even thinking about federal campaign law, let alone that they conspired to violate it. They are asking this jury, they have to ask this jury if they're going to convict on fraud, to accept this guy's uncorroborated testimony despite his mountainous credibility problems. That is not something a prosecutor would ordinarily do, which is why I think the prosecutors in my old office, the Southern District of New York, decided not to pursue this case.
And once these jurors, Sean, see some of the seething, unhinged lunatic rants by Cohen on TikTok, they're going to hate him. But the question is, do they hate Donald Trump more? Will they acquit because there's no evidence of crimes, or convict for purely political reasons? That's what Alvin Bragg is counting on because, Sean, he has no case.
Fueled by hatred, as that last commentator noted. Do they hate Donald Trump more? If you can get a jury of 12 political activists who hate Trump, you don't really need to prove that there's a crime. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We appreciate you joining us on this beautiful day. It's a beautiful day here in central Oklahoma anyway. You can get to the live video stream of this show at trumpetdaily.com or at the Rumble channel, rumble.com/Trumpet Daily. If you go to the Rumble channel, make sure that you give us a thumbs up. I can report to you, this is breaking news. No thumbs down, not yet. I'm sure there's going to be a couple. A lot of times there's a thumbs down before we even start. Who is that? Who is that that would do that? Who knows? Who knows? That's the world of the internet, social media, and the like. There's an article, I'll come to it later. It's in the American Spectator. Has Obama on the cover there. He's the featured individual. And it says, "Make America Hate Again." That's the title. And underneath the title it says, you know, Obama was good at hiding it. And Biden is not as good at it, at hiding the hate. But it's Obama's hate that's fueling so much of this. What we're seeing play out. I've talked before about how just going back to America Under Attack. I mean, the spirit of Antiochus and then the spirit of Jeroboam, these two squaring off against each other. And like Donald Trump said there outside the courtroom, I mean, we've never seen anything like this. The hatred on display. That's what's fueling all four of the cases. It's fueling all of the lawfare. Everyone practically acknowledges that these cases wouldn't exist if Donald Trump wasn't the political enemy of Antiochus, the dear leader, the man fueled by hate. We'll come to that, as I say. It's in the American Spectator. But first, this case, this show trial in Manhattan. The New York Post says here, Michael Cohen, that was the star witness yesterday, right? He apparently wants a reality show, but if his testimony Monday is any indication, reality is about to sink in for not just Cohen, but the prosecutors and the court. I mean, these prosecutors, and then the judge, Merchan, I mean, he's really caught between a rock and a hard place because they've been exposed as political activists. Who knows if all 12 of them on the jury are, but the prosecutors certainly are. Nobody wanted to touch this case with a 10-foot pole until Trump started to run away with it in the Republican nomination. And then they went out. Then Alvin Bragg, all of a sudden, he's very interested. It says here, in stoking interest in his own appearance, the former Donald Trump counsel promised the public that they should be prepared to be surprised. Well, there were no surprises. In fact, he just exposed himself as a fraud, Michael Cohen. It says here, thus far, Cohen has offered nothing new, and more importantly, nothing to make the case for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Just before he took the stand, the New York Post revealed that Cohen had been peddling a reality show called The Fixer. The Cohen pitch came with a cheesy promo video in which he promised viewers, "I am your fixer." You can't make this up. These people they're just actors. they're just pretenders. Stormy Daniels and now Michael Cohen. It says here his first post-Trump client, Bragg, may have to disagree. Cohen had only one advantage for Bragg, his notoriously flexible morals and ethics, which allow him to say most anything to support his sponsors. I mean, he's ruined his life because he's a fraud. He's dishonest. You wonder why Trump ever even associated with him. But he's perjured himself. He's a liar. And he's fueled by hate. And he's fueled by self-interest. He knows his career. It's over. It's shattered. So he's willing to say anything. Listen to this montage from the Five, their remarks regarding this show trial in Manhattan. Clip 1.
This is a lesson in lawfare. Once they set their sights on a target, it's just like regular warfare, meaning they end up acting worse and doing more terrible things and aligning yourself with more despicable, rotten people than the actual person that you are targeting. So you ask yourself, well, what's worse, Trump taking the lawyer's advice on an expense, or what the prosecutors are doing, which are using the felon who created the legal expense to imprison the defendant? In a weird way, they don't know it, but they're prosecuting Michael Cohen right now instead of Trump.
Michael Cohen is a man with a cause. He is a man without a company. He is a man without a law license. He is a man without a job. And he is a man who is desperate. So he needs a conviction. He needs for people to believe him in order to survive. Because Michael Cohen has destroyed himself in all of this. The only way he goes forward in life is if he helps convict Donald Trump. The amazing part of this is in order to do that, he will do whatever is necessary. And finally, to put the nail on the coffin for Michael Cohen, how dare you tape record a client? That is an ethical violation, and that is an attorney-client violation. And by the way, what you recorded is meaningless. It's not even a crime. You're stupid, too.
There's no crime here. We've been noting that from the beginning. The New York Post piece says the problem is that Cohen only confirmed that Trump knew he was going to pay for the non-disclosure agreement and that it would be buried before the election. None of that is unlawful. None of that is unlawful. So this is why Bragg is not out there explaining what the crime is. It says here, many of us have ridiculed this case as devoid of any criminal act. Indeed, Merchan has allowed the prosecutors to proceed without clearly stating what crime was being concealed. This is happening in America? It is. It is. Yesterday, the Alabama Attorney General, he attended the trial. There are more and more, as I've said, more and more. Rick Scott was there the other day. More and more Trump supporters are coming into the courthouse, and they're seeing it. They're seeing how these members of the regime media operate. They don't get clicking away on their laptops until there's something really, really seedy, some good gossip that they can run with. They don't care about the facts of the case. They don't care that there's no crime here. They're just there to believe, if you can believe it, to believe Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels. There you go. This was the Alabama Attorney General on with, I think this was Fox Business, earlier today or last night, clip 4.
Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall was in the courtroom supporting Trump yesterday. Here's his takeaway from the trial.
30 years I have been a prosecutor and cared desperately about what goes on in our criminal justice system, and I have never seen in my career a greater perversion of the criminal justice system than I witnessed this morning.
He's never seen a greater perversion of the criminal justice system. So how is this happening? How does it get through to jury selection? And you've got this army of prosecutors when, as we said yesterday, all this crime is actual crimes taking place on the streets of New York. How does this get before a judge? It's because of hate. That's why. It's fueled by hatred. Listen again to Attorney General Marshall on with Bartiromo, clip 5.
Yeah, yesterday was political theater. It wasn't the prosecution of a crime. We sat and listened to hours of Michael Cohen talk about how he feels about former President Trump, about the affirmation that he needed in the work that he did for him. But what I didn't hear is a connection to Donald Trump to falsifying business records with the fraudulent intent to conceal another crime. And that's what he's charged with. And yesterday, the prosecution didn't make their case.
They didn't make their case. Wouldn't this be? The other cases aren't going forward fast enough. They're not going to be in a courtroom before the presidential election. It looks like. Wouldn't it be hilarious to see this end with a hung jury or whatever? I'm sure there's going to be plenty on that jury panel that would love to convict him, even if there's no evidence of crime, because of hatred. Listen again to the Alabama Attorney General, clip 6.
How much of this do you think is impacting the Supreme Court as it mulls its decision on whether or not President Trump has some kind of immunity from all of this? I mean, when you think about the totalitarianism of this, like on the one hand, you've got the Alvin Bragg case, everything you just said. You've got Jack Smith admitting that they tampered with evidence. Okay, those classified documents, pictures were all set up. You've got Fani Willis and her affair with, her #1 prosecutor. You got, Tish James and these fantastical numbers that she came up with that Trump has to pay up. I mean, do you think any of this and the public's reaction that Trump is continuing to win in the polls, that people just do not believe any of this? Do you think that is weighing on the Supreme Court, that they're saying, look, obviously, everybody thinks this is political. We can't have this kind of a charade happen over and over again to a president. He's got to have immunity. What do you think the impact will be?
I think this validates the arguments that President Trump's counsel made in front of the Supreme Court, that you don't need a president looking over their shoulder or the decisions they make, understanding that when there is a transition of power, that the opposing power is going to come after them criminally.
Now, just keep in mind what's discussed in America Under Attack. That prophecy in Amos 7 and verse 13, I think in particular, where it talks about the kingdom's court and the help that Donald Trump, that this individual coming in the spirit of Jeroboam, the help that the Supreme Court of the nation will provide. We're beginning to see that now.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here, and I need to give some input here. And I believe what this Attorney General from Alabama, Maria Bartiromo, are forgetting is that Donald Trump is running on the Republican ticket, and these people that are trying to prosecute them are Democrats. I mean, that's it. That's it. I know he talks about hate here, but it's not necessarily hate. It's they are concerned that Donald Trump is going to take away their power. They don't care about making America great. They don't care about having U.S. citizens having a job and being able to support their family or being able to buy a home. They don't care about that. They don't want to make America great. All they want is to maintain their power and control. And Donald Trump is throwing a monkey wrench into that. He wants to give power back to the American people. He wants to bring jobs back to the United States. You heard Vivek Ramaswamy talk about how Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, is basically a shell of its former self. I grew up when Pittsburgh was a manufacturing hub for steel in the United States. Now all the steel comes from China. Donald Trump tried to open that back up, but unfortunately the deep state was working against him. They don't want people in America to have good jobs. They don't want people in America to be independent. They want people in America to be dependent on them. That way they can have power. They can control you if you need their help to survive. They want you to be on welfare. They can print as much freaking money as they want to pay out. If inflation goes up, no big deal. They'll just print more money to give out to people like illegal aliens for their vote. And yes, we talked about this a couple of times in previous videos, that illegal aliens can vote in the United States if they feel they were a citizen, if they actually believe that they were a citizen. Reasonably believe, reasonably believe is what the actual words say. If the alien reasonably believes that they're a citizen of the United States, they can vote in a presidential election. And what would that take? Somebody to give them some documents and say, here, fill out these forms, which would be registration forms, now you can vote. You're like a citizen of the United States. Now you can vote. And if you want to be able to stay here in this country, then you should vote for Joe Biden. I'm not saying that's what is happening, but that could happen. It could. Go back and look at my previous videos, and you'll see. Let me click on the Rumble link for here. Trumpet Daily.
I'm beginning to see that now.
Let me go ahead and pause that. I'm following the channel. I've given it a thumbs up. Let's just click over here. Right there it is. Great information. All right. Coming back here to the description box. Let's listen to some John B. Wells. I've listened to him for many, many years. He was on Coast to Coast, too. I like to listen to him on Coast to Coast. All right, here we go. Good information here. Caravan to Midnight.
Greetings, friends around the world, and welcome to the Caravan to Midnight DEF CON 1 prologue. Tonight, we welcome for the first time to Caravan Miss Tina Peters. Is that name familiar to you? Maybe. I'm thinking so. Tonight's episode is entitled Whistleblower, Courage Under Fire. And Tina Peters has been subjected to quite a bit of fire. As you may or may not know, Tina Peters is the former Mesa County clerk in Colorado, and she found herself at the center of a contentious legal and political storm. Her story begins when she made a backup of her county's Dominion voting system server before a scheduled update, which she claims led to the discovery of potential evidence of election manipulation. This act, which she framed as a measure to enforce election integrity, resulted in her facing accusations of unauthorized access to government property.
Now, can you believe that? She backed up her database, and then she realized, hey, there's some funny things going on here. No, let's not intercoursing investigate those weird things that might be proof of voter manipulation or election manipulation. Let's charge her with unauthorized access to government property. WTF is going on? Where has our government gone? It was the same thing with the guy that claimed he had 200,000 ballots that he drove from New York City to Pennsylvania. You know, you have to be in the state that you vote in. You can't vote in New York City 200,000 times and then ship those ballots to Pennsylvania. That's not how the rules work. Well, instead of the FBI investigating, okay, well, where did this come from? No, they harassed the truck driver that reported it. Went to his home, harassed him, and you've never heard another word about it, have you? This is absolutely ridiculous, folks.
And other related charges. Well, everybody knows the rats really don't like it when the kitchen light comes on, and sometimes they just fall all over themselves trying to escape. They're not going to escape. They're going to cause a lot of problems, just like what happened to those poor people up there at the January 6th rally, still suffering. Umpteen hundreds of thousands of dollars being expended over nothing, really. And let's not forget about the woman who was on our program, talking about how the cops were actually trying to physically pull her over the barriers onto the Capitol grounds. She was just standing there. She didn't want to go on the Capitol grounds, so they wanted her to come over, and she just fought tooth and nail and made sure that didn't happen. It's pretty sick. Now, keep in mind, they're not going to say, oh, well, you caught us. They're not going to do that. They're going to lie, cheat, steal, run, and bite if you get close enough to them, because they're losing their minds. You're going to see a lot more of this in the not too distant future, because their little fantasy world is going to come crashing down very shortly. This will not continue. America will not be allowed to self-destruct. It's not going to happen. I do not believe. It may get bumpy. Yes, it very well may get bumpy. But I think it's going to be all right in the end. We just got a long slog to go between now and Election Day. Everybody knows this. But again, I'm a huge proponent of the Great Reset. Well, the Wellesian Great Reset, which is throw all illegal aliens out. All of them. I don't care. What about the women? What about the children? They go with the women and the men. Maybe they'll make it back to Guatemala and they won't wind up trafficked. Because a lot of them are coming across this border, are winding up getting trafficked. That seems to be a bigger business than any of us would have ever imagined. Huge business, billions and billions of dollars in human flesh. Yeah. That winds up, in many cases, as compost in somebody's garden. It's sad, it's sick, but something more. The behavior of people in general. Have you noticed that it has really changed? And it's not just COVID-19, it's everything that went along with it. This bunch that wants to rule the world, the Klaus Schwabs of the planet and so forth, and the United Nations. These things are going to go away at some point. It may take a while, but the United Nations, I give it maybe 3 years, and it'll be gone. It needs to be disbanded. And more to the point, the people who engineered and executed the COVID-19 scam, many of them will be arrested or simply never heard from ever again. And they know this, and they're panicking. That's why, if you see something on your radar screen, so to speak, that's a really, really bright blip, you can be sure it's a result of some overdue payback to some of the people who have done this thing to so many people. I'll give you an example. I got a call from one of my children today announcing that my former sister-in-law dropped dead this morning. Not very old either. Pretty girl. She was married to a long-time Dallas TV anchor. They think it was a blood clot. I said, and I take it they were both vaccinated. Silence. They've injured my friends, and now they've killed 2 people who are near and dear to me. I don't forget things like that. I want payback, and there's going to be some, and it's going to be awful for the people upon whom it is delivered. Just saying. So here we are. This portion of the program is brought to you by a great book. You're going to love it, and your tummy is going to love it even more. It is Survival Food.
Okay, let me get past this here a little bit. I like the way he talks, too. I mean, he is straightforward, to the point, and he doesn't pull any punches.
For this money. Or just, this is a 25-26. The Type 15 is 0.223/5.56 by 45. And in the 223 Wild chambering, which is a hybrid chamber, you can safely shoot 223 Remington or 5-point American. If Israel was Mother's Day ad, and the big guns are being called in to save the big guy, or the little putz, as he might be, that would be Jomo Biden. Oh yeah, George Clooney, Barack Obama, Julia Roberts are going to head a Biden celebrity fundraiser. Won't that be fun? Did you hear about Buscemi getting punched in the face? Unbelievable. Yeah. Boardwalk Empire and Soprano star randomly punched in the face in New York City. Maniac assailant still free. Just goes to show you, because you're a movie star, you're not immune to things like drug overdoses, murder, suicide, car crashes, or being punched in the face. Oh, wow. That means, you mean just like regular people? Food poisoning, too, sometimes. They're just regular people, yeah. So this cult of celebrity has pretty much gone down the toilet also when we behold the idiotic behavior of most of them. And even if it isn't most of them, it seems like it's most of them just because of the things that they do once they've achieved celebrity really casts a nasty light on the rest of them, many of whom are in it just because they love the art. They love filmmaking. They love theatrical acting. They like all of that stuff. But, you know, some people get carried away and they forget that the only reason that they have that position, that stardom, is because of, once again, we the people in the audience. Now, here we go. Now, as a counterpoint to what Tina Peters discovered, here's a clerk admitting violating election law, but she claims she didn't understand it. Seriously, I didn't really do anything wrong. I just didn't understand it. Okay, all right. Bob Unruh wrote this one for WND. An elections official in a major city in the key swing state of Wisconsin, who earlier was caught in and reprimanded for a ballot harvesting scheme, has now admitted violating election laws, explaining she just didn't understand them. You didn't understand what? I still didn't. It's just more evidence of how America's elections are being warped by political ideologies held by those in position of election system power. An investigative report in The Federalist explains that Green Bay City Clerk Celestine Jeffries, or is that Celestine, or is it Celestine Jeffries, in a response to a court case admitted, quote, she has not been strictly adhering to the statutory requirements in Wisconsin statutes. Oh, well. You might as well laugh because it's so stupid. I mean, what are we going to do, cry? That's what I've said it many times. It's not a good look for anybody. But there's a reason. The court filing charges the failure to do what was inadvertent and due to a lack of awareness of the statutory requirements. Yeah. The failure to do so was inadvertent and due to a lack of awareness of the statutory requirements. Well, the stunning admission came in response to a complaint from the Public Interest Legal Foundation. The report explained, quote, it's more of the same from Jeffries, the former chief of staff for Green Bay's far-left mayor in a city that made national news during the Zuckerbuck scandal of 2020 and turned punitive when its bumbling clerk previously twisted state election law. So in other words, this twit's lying. I didn't understand it. Yeah, you did. The PILF concern, or PILF, brought to the State Election Commission warns that Green Bay documented 3,497 Election Day registrations during the 2020 presidential race, in which Joe Biden won the state by the narrowest of margins. But a check on the accuracy of those registrations produced 170 undeliverable names, and the clerk refused to make any of those inactive, despite state requirements. Quote, that line, inactivated zero residents, comes up again and again.
Now, folks, I've talked about this before. These states that allow you to register on the day of the election is completely bullshit. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. It's completely bullshit. So, what's to stop a bunch of people from China or Russia or Iran or whoever, North Korea, to fly into the United States and register on the day of the election and then fly out after they vote? Huh? What's preventing that? Do these people in these states, and a lot of these states, their legislature is supposedly Republican. Now, if there's a bunch of rhinos in there, that's fine with them because they get to suck the ass of the Democrats and the Democrats pay them back. But this is utterly amazing, ridiculous that this goes on. Registration the day of election.
The 2021 elections, the primary and general elections in 2022, in which Wisconsin Democrat Tony Evers and the most leftist statewide officers won, and again in the 2023 spring election, in which the far-left Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice candidate claimed victory and turned control of the court over to leftists. In the latter contest, of the 672 Election Day registrants, 24 postcards were returned as undeliverable to Jeffries' office. The Federalist documented. Jeffries was required to mark the voter as ineligible on the registration list, mail the voter a notice, and tell the local prosecuting attorney and elections commission of possible fraud. But, the report states, Jeffries did nothing. It's apparently just now, according to city legal representatives, that Jeffries has started working on a plan to address the potential election fraud. Quote, Clerk Jeffries was unaware that she was required to do each of these things, but plans to do so going forward, and is in the process of drafting written procedures for doing so. I thought they were already written down. In the future, in accordance with statute and with the WEC guidance, Clerk Jeffries will take the following actions when her office receives an undeliverable EDR postcard, the city's legal team claimed in a court filing. Lauren Bowman Biss, PILF's Director of Communications, explained, people need to have faith and trust in their elected officials. For her not to be following the law, not even knowing the law, is unbelievable. Not really. Take a look at her. She warned Jeffries' actions could easily be used for fraud and abuse. Federalist reported Jeffries has a history of trouble with election law.
I always heard that ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. In other words, if you're driving down the street at 50 miles an hour and you happen to be in a 40-mile-an-hour speed zone and you get stopped by the cop and you say, I didn't know this was 40 miles an hour. I thought it was 50. Yeah, sorry. You still get a ticket. If you take a counterfeit bill into a store and buy something with it and they find out that it's counterfeit and they call the cops on you, I didn't know it was counterfeit. You may not go to jail for that, but you're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Sounds like to me that this lady didn't get into any trouble. I'll write a procedure.
Doesn't that suggest her difficulties are not difficulties, but she did these things deliberately? I would say that's just common sense to make that assumption. It was just months ago the State Elections Commission concluded Jeffries again broke the law when during the 2022 spring election she took multiple absentee ballots from single individuals. The commission ruled that there was probable cause to believe Jeffries broke the law on ballot harvesting. Oh, you'd think? And then here's a quote. The commission hereby orders Celestine Jeffries to amend the policy described in the response or any current or future policy in a manner consistent with this decision. The city blamed the law violations on confusion about the election. Backside covering leftist losers. May they perish in flames. Does that mean?
Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. All right, I'm 52 minutes into this. I even started it up a little bit. But this is a 4-hour and 10-minute video here. 4-hour and 10-minute video. And, you know, this is amazing how these Democrats just get away with murder. Okay, they didn't prosecute Hillary because they didn't believe the FBI didn't believe that she intentionally did this. And they don't think that a prosecutor would actually go forward with this. They're not going to prosecute Joe Biden because, well, he's old and feeble and, you know, a jury would just, you know, side with him because they would feel sorry for him. So they're not going to prosecute him. But they'll sure as hell prosecute Donald Trump. They don't have a frickin' problem with that now, do they? Is that what you call double standards? I don't know. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below because I'm just confused here, I guess. All right, clicking on this Rumble link, it takes us to John B. Wells Live. This is the video I shared with you. I'm following his channel. I'm giving him a thumbs up. He always has great information. I hope you do the same for me. Follow my channel and give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to hear more of his information, and he's got some commercials in there. I tried to skip past that one or two. But he's got a lot of great information. And like I said, he's down to earth and doesn't pull any punches. Benny Johnson. Vivek walks into court with Trump, takes flamethrower to case on live TV. And this, I wanted to show this along with the Vivek video that I shared with you earlier to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when he talks about the United States, America, and how he feels about it. So let's take a listen here.
How these things work. Unite and win. Now, Donald Trump's been uniting with Vivek Ramaswamy for a very long time. He's the person who we were the most interested in today. Donald Trump walking into Mar-a-Lago with Vivek Ramaswamy and his wife, Apoorva. This sort of shocked everybody with Melania Trump in tow. Also, Vivek Ramaswamy on TV right after this saying he can't wait to debate Kamala Harris.
They were the pioneers. They were the explorers.
If you ever get a chance to debate or talk to like Kamala Harris, and Biden's not going to be debating, I don't think anyone, but it'd be good just to say, why shouldn't George Washington be banned?
I'll file that away, Laura, and I'm looking forward to hearing Kamala's answer. I don't expect it to be super coherent, but I'll be sure to face off with her on it.
I'll be sure to face off with her on it. I mean, again, like these are the little things that makes you just kind of say, I don't know, like what you know, what's going on here? Like, is Vivek in the running for VP. Many people want him to be vice president. Donald Trump obviously treats him like family when he's at Mar-a-Lago. Here's just a small sampling of Donald Trump bringing Vivek on stage saying, "We must win. We will win. We must win, Vivek," is what Donald Trump said at this event. And so what does Vivek have to say after Donald Trump in court? Vivek was with Donald Trump in court today. He said it's a miserable, depressing experience, and he just delivered a blistering barn burner outside of the courthouse when given an opportunity to talk about the experience and to talk about the case writ large. Here we go.
Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues, Governor Burgum, Congressman Mills, and Congressman Donalds for laying out the political backdrop here. This is a politicized persecution that is nakedly apparent. What I want to do is dive a little bit deeper into what we actually learned today in that courtroom. What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody at MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed. Oh, wait. We have not heard a good answer to that question. It has been vague until today. You heard Michael Cohen's testimony, after which I would say it is less clear than ever what that crime actually was. They'll say falsifying business records. Well, let's look at who did we learn falsified business records today? Yet, what, hour, 2 hours, felt like it could have been 7 hours, of Michael Cohen talking about how he falsified business records. Okay, so you have a guy who has been a perjurer in the past that is now saying he falsified business records. What is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Now, it appears to be what they might allege is some sort of bookkeeping error or whatever. The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable. Imagine if the same shoe fit the other foot. Imagine if it was Joe Biden that was on trial. You had a Republican judge whose son was collecting millions of dollars as a Republican operative. What would you all be saying? This would not be justice. This is injustice at its worst. So let's go even a layer deeper, right? Because let's go even a layer deeper, actually. The alleged crime here is supposedly, they try to point to this every day, that he does not actually use campaign funds, that he used personal funds. Well, let's get this straight. Suppose Donald Trump had used campaign funds to make a personal expense. They'd be going after him for that. So if they're going to get him going or they're going to get him coming, that is the best proof that this is a politicized sham. Let's go through it piece by piece. If you tell somebody to go buy you a suit and you want to look good on television because that'll affect the voters, the way voters vote for you, you know what? They prosecute politicians if they use campaign funds to buy a suit. If they say, go get a haircut, if you use campaign funds to get a haircut because you want to look good to the voters, they will actually prosecute you for using campaign funds for a personal expense. Yet the entire legal theory of this case, the whole case that Alvin Bragg has brought, depends on one premise for them to charge this as a felony, is that Donald Trump somehow should have used campaign funds to make an allegedly personal payment. Yet if he had done that, their case against him would be even stronger. This is garbage. That is the best proof that you have that if they're going to get him going or get him coming, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic. If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that. So this is a shame. Shame on the spirit in our country's history, but we will get through it and be stronger because you know who ultimately actually cast the vote on this case? It's not just the jurors in that jury box. It's every one of you at home. It's every American who votes this November to say no to the weaponization of justice. And if you're at home, you may say, you know what, I don't agree with everything Donald Trump's ever said. You know what? I may not agree with some of his policies even though they were great policies for 4 years. But you do agree, whether you are Democrat or Republican or black or white or gay or straight or man or woman, that our justice system should be blind to politics. That regardless of whether your last name is Biden or Trump, regardless of whether you've been a politician or not, you get a fair shake in our own legal system. And when you have a prosecutor who campaigned on the pledge of going after Trump and then keeps his campaign pledge, when you have a judge whose kids are collecting money from Democratic operatives by fundraising off the very trial that judge is presiding over, and then telling the U.S. president that he's subject to a gag order, that he can't talk about it, that is not justice. That is a bastardization of what this country was founded on. And I'm here, and all of us are here as friends of Donald Trump, supporting him in our personal capacity, sharing our opinions. That's why we're here today. But I hope every American at home who isn't able to be in that courtroom is able to see what's actually happening there. And when you do, we will have a landslide of historic proportion this November if every American understands the injustice that's playing out in that courtroom today. So may God bless our country. I pray for our future, and let's pray for our country being stronger on the other side of this disgusting sham politician prosecution. Doug, I'm going to close this out. Thank you.
Now, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I like the way he talks. Now, I say that a lot, but that line comes from the movie Sling Blade with Billy Bob Thornton. Okay, look it up. He's kind of mentally slow, Billy Bob is, and he plays the part. He kind of befriends a young boy, and they hang out together a lot. He like mows lawns, Billy Bob Thornton does, and this boy that he hangs out with had a deep Southern accent, and Billy Bob made that statement during the movie. I like the way you talk. And then the little boy, I like the way you talk too. But at any rate.
Well, hot damn. It's VP material, ladies and gentlemen. This is, I think, like, there's no other way to say it. I haven't been, obviously quiet about my appreciation for VP, for Vivek as VP. We've asked Vivek on stage about it. We've been pretty open about the fact that we're friendly with Vivek and we like him, we like his candidacy. But Vivek said, I'll do whatever I can to maximally help. Obviously, he said nothing more than that. He was asked yesterday by Patrick Bet-David about the same thing and said, it's my obligation to be VP if you actually want me to be VP.
I respect immensely. We're going to have a conversation about that and actually set up for maximal impact for the country. If he knows who I am, and we've got to know each other really well, if after knowing all of that, he would ask me to be vice president, or, you brought up that example, let's just answer really honestly, anybody who cares about this country, who's aligned with his vision in the Republican Party today, if they're asked to be vice president, is going to say yes and has a responsibility to say yes.
So that's what Vivek said yesterday.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here, and yes, because of the way he talks to the press, and I've seen him numerous times pound the mainstream media. And he doesn't come back with some wishy-washy bullshit like a lot of the rhinos do and all the Democrats do when they're asked a tough question. He comes back with an answer, and he beats them over the head with it. It makes them look stupid for even asking a stupid question. So, I like him. And I think that he would be a great vice president. And I would like to see him, based on the things that I've seen about him and the way that he talks and the way that he acts, he would make a great president in 2028. That's just my feelings. Let me know in the comments if you disagree or if you agree or whatever. I'd kind of like to know how other people feel. That's how I feel. Hey, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know it all and I know what's best. I'm open for opinions. Okay, getting over here to the Rumble link. This comes from Benny Johnson. This is a video I shared with you. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. Great information. Let's get back here to the description box. I want to give you a comment of the day from Debbie BS. As you can see, she gives me a comment right here. Debbie BS commented on my Bill Gates from Gateway Pundit, Vax Crazy. But let's come up here and share. I want to share with you her comment. I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I enjoyed the review of your historic facts page. You really offer a tremendous amount of great information. Thank you so much. And thank you, Debbie BS. I greatly appreciate your comments. I appreciate all the comments that I get here. Now, one more thing. I kind of brought up about voter election right here. U.S. Code, 18 U.S. Code, voting by aliens. Okay, I'm going to come down here again in the description box, and I've got a link to this. 18 U.S. Code section 611. Let's come down here to this last sentence. First it says, subsection C, subsection A, does not apply to an alien if, blah, 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 blah. The alien reasonably believes at the time of voting in violation of such subsection that he or she was a citizen of the United States. So all I have to do is say, well, I believed I was a citizen. That's what the person told me when they gave me the registration forms, is that if I filled these out, I could vote in the election just like a citizen. Now, folks, this is something that would definitely constitute aggressive voter fraud. And unfortunately, this 18 U.S. Code 611 actually went into effect in 1956. Okay? 1956. That's the last term that Eisenhower, which was Republican, Eisenhower won that election. Dwight D. Eisenhower. He won the election in 56, and then Kennedy won it in 60. He actually started his presidency, Eisenhower did, in 1952, was reelected in 1956. But in 1955, the Democrats wanted to throw this in so they could try to cheat their way in, because it was a Democrat-controlled Senate and a Democrat-controlled House that threw this in there. That one little line there. And they've been pushing for illegal immigration ever since. Look it up. You don't have to trust me. Okay, let's get back here to our live stream, today's live stream, and pause this. Looks like Uncloudy and Harry Jove gave me a couple of live chats here. Vivek seems fake and bandwagon politician who just wants to be on the winning team. Okay, I respect your opinion on that. I get a different feeling, Uncloudy. I know you've given me a lot of good comments. President Trump will prevail, Trump 2024. We the people will defeat this tyrannical administration. Asian, Indian, American voted for President Trump. Thank you. In 2016. He's an Asian, Indian, American, voted for Donald Trump. All right. And Vivek is also from India. Okay, I am going to copy those live chats into a comment because the live chats will go away shortly after this live stream is over, but I want to immortalize this information because I think it's good information and important. And thank you, Uncloudy. I definitely respect your opinion on this. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know that Donald Trump will ask him to be vice president, but I certainly hope that he is part of his cabinet, because he will take on the mainstream media and cut them to shreds. I've seen him do it before. In fact, every time I've seen him come up against the mainstream media, that's what I've seen him do, is make them look like freaking idiots, which is what they are. So actually, it's a pretty easy thing to do. All right. Give that a comment there. All right. Here we go. Open this up again. And folks, these videos that I shared with you come directly from the producer's channel. From Vivek, from Trumpet Daily, from John B. Wells, Benny Johnson. I don't receive any commissions or any royalties for sharing their videos or promoting their channels. I do it so people can know of a place or places to go to get the truth. If you come back here to Murtech.com, and the link, incidentally, to Murtech.com is right here. Also a link to my Rumble channel. Here's a link to my BitChute channel where I will upload a copy of this video as soon as the live stream is over. Here's a link if you want to help support Murtech.com and Murtech on Rumble to keep free speech alive. Here's a link if you want to join my locals community. I'd greatly appreciate that. But as I said, here at Murtech.com, it's a free site, okay? I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computer to track you and sell that information. I don't do it. I don't have ads popping up in your face. I don't ask you to sign up for a membership, because this is open to all, open to everyone. Because I want people to know what's going on. I want people to have information that is not lies and propaganda like you would get from the mainstream media and deep state swamp. So please share this out with your friends, contacts, and family members so they too can have a taste of truth. I want to thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I'll get to see you again tomorrow, and may God bless.